Is there anything between me and you that you can think of that you think, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that to her? Let's have a little game. You try and remember. No, come on. You try and, it's good to have games when you're married. It keeps the relationship fresh.
Right.
You try and play this little, get undressed.
Okay, I am.
Put your pants on. Put your pants on for this one. No, try and remember something that's happened in our relationship, and I'll tell you if I remember it the way you'll remember it. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, because this really is putting you on the spot.
I think...
Hello.
Daddy, I love you.
Your mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today, oh, Brian, you just looked at me on the side of your eye then.
Looking sideways at you, Liz. Yeah, talking with American accent today.
Well, it's just as well, because today we're going to be talking about America. We're going to be talking about conversations.
God bless America.
We're going to be talking about conversation starters about how Americans are so much better at it than the Brits. I mean, they really lead the way in conversation.
What's the weather doing today?
And we're also going to be talking about something called the Mandela Effect. Do you know what that is, Brian?
Our good friend Finlay told us about it once. Yeah, I do know a little bit about it, but I'm probably not very good at it.
No. Do you know what? Let me just give you a little tip.
Yes.
I'll give you a little tip, shall I?
Okay.
When you're the co-host of a show...
I've never heard of it before.
Well,
Liz.
thank you. There we go. Oh, that's
Look at
great. So what I'm going to be doing today, Bryce, I'm going to be shedding some light on the Mandela Effect. Because what happened this week, it was with me, is something happened. I recorded a podcast and I came off from the podcast and I said to Bri, oh God, that was just, I was so bossy. I think I was a little bit rude. I think I was a little bit this and that. And I was really beating myself up about this whole podcast that we'd just done.
Yeah.
And you said to me, no, you weren't, because you were sitting off to the side and you'd heard the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, you weren't. You sounded fine. And I had to go back and replay the podcast to prove to myself that what had actually happened hadn't happened in my head. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it happened in your head, but it didn't physically, it didn't actually happen.
In real life.
Yes. Yeah,
which got us talking about, and that's a whole different subject, because that we've put that down to stress. Like when you're stressed, you're not completely present.
No.
In conversations and when things are happening.
But even a bit like on this podcast right now, because there's a few stressful
things. Why, you're not
things.
present?
No, yeah, but you are. But do you know what I mean? It's not like you haven't got that crispness of normal. Once you get a little bit of stress in your life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can imagine how I am. So you imagine how I feel.
No.
I'd be like,
do you want to just take a moment, Brian? Just bring yourself to the present moment.
I could take a little bit of a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you present now?
Yeah.
Do you know where you are?
I think I know where we are.
Where are we?
Yeah. We're in Taranaki.
We're in our bedroom,
Here we
Brian.
are. Yeah.
Here we are, look.
Can you remember what happened?
We're doing a
last
podcast. Something you just want to forget, don't you?
You just do, yeah.
But
Did it happen?
So we started talking about this whole thing around how you make things up in your mind. When you convince yourself you've been a certain way and that everyone's going to be hating you and like think you're a really bad person because you've said that. And actually, when you go back, well, and do what I did, which not a lot of people get the opportunity to do, and watch a video of yourself, you realise that that's not how you came across at all, and it's all in your head.
Well, how do you think about that? Because, within a year or so, or 2 years, even 3 years, whatever, then you will be able to press replay on your whatever it is that's listening to you, because we will have our own little cyborgy thing.
Well, so says you, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, but it's true.
Well, it's not.
Not for everybody, but...
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So it won't be true for you or me.
Yeah, but you've seen like Iron Man and stuff like that, where they've got Jarvis. It's his little companion in his iron suit that he talks to. And really, realistically, that's what's going to happen.
Really, today.
Really? I'm not quite here at the moment. Wide breath frog. And so when you look at that, you'll be able to go, hey, Jarvis-y thing, just tell us what I said on that meeting, and it'll come back and you said this, 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 and this.
The thing is, Bri, I hear what you're saying, and I know what you're saying, that this is going to be available, but there is no way on God's earth I will ever have any chip put in my head or
it's
anything.
not chip in your head,
No Jarvis. No.
All right, but you've got little Google that you love, and
yeah, but Google, I don't say to Google, what is my memory, and what have I just said,
you
Google?
like to use Chat GPT and stuff like that every now and then.
It doesn't matter. I know, but I won't be going as far as that.
But that's just the next level. It's like saying I wouldn't have an iPhone.
The other day we were sitting at the table. I'm talking to them, not you. Be quiet and listen.
Hello, you.
Does he?
Sorry you were out there. You in the dark.
You know, the other day we were sitting at the table. No, I am talking
Yes.
to you, Billy. We're sitting at the table talking.
Yeah.
And I decided to play that little game, didn't I? And I said, because it was on my mind about the whole memory thing.
Yeah.
About how, well, if I've told myself that and I wasn't really like that, what else have I told myself that isn't true? And so I decided to play that game. And I said to you and Sonny at the table, didn't I? We were having dinner and I said, what's one memory that you've got that really bothers you, that you'd love to just eradicate, just get rid of, and you wish it had never happened and you wish you could change it?
Yeah.
And Sonny turned around and he said, oh, I know what mine is. He said, I just so wish I could change the way I was when we were back in Disneyland, when we went traveling the world and we went to Disneyland. Yeah. And I said, oh, what do you mean? And he said, what do you remember? He said,
is that Disney World or Disneyland? Liz?
He said, we were like Disneyland.
Is it? I thought it was Disney World in Florida.
Oh, okay, Disney World.
Yeah.
And
foolish fool.
You're going to get it, Brian. And he said, we were lining up for the Hulk ride. There was a new ride and it was called the Hulk ride.
Yeah, it was actually.
Oh,
yeah.
God, go on. I
know, because someone's going to say something.
No one says anything. The only one that says anything is you.
I know.
Can you just let me finish what I'm saying?
I can, but it was is it MGM
I don't
Studios?
know.
Well, that's where it was.
Okay, all right then.
There we go.
So,
just in case you don't confuse people.
no, the only person you're confusing, Brian, is me. Can you just let me finish?
Okay.
And then maybe just jot it down. Just write yourself a little list. And then when
Right.
we finish the podcast, you can just pull me to one side and go, Christ, Liz, you got that wrong. You said that wrong.
Universal,
and you
that's
don't know
what I
what
was
you're
looking
doing.
for.
Anyway, so going back to the story, so Sonny said, we were lining up at the Hulk ride, me
Yeah.
and Tess, and you ran over and said, Sonny, rah, and did this with your arms,
Yeah.
like, you know. He said, and I'll never forget, I said to you, don't do that. That's embarrassing. Go away. And he said, and you look so hurt and so wounded. He said, and I've never forgotten it. And I think to myself, why did you do that to her? All she was doing was just trying to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And when he told me that, I said, I don't remember that. And he went, you do, remember? And I said, no, I don't. I said, all I remember is you being on the Hulk ride. I said, I do remember going, Sonny. I said, but all I remember is you laughing. Yeah. And you turned around to me and laughed. And he went, no, I didn't. I said, you did. But we've both got very different memories.
Yeah.
And his has given him God knows how much guilt. And mine is a really happy memory.
I know. And that's the crazy thing, isn't it? Like, you know, especially when you're young, you have these memories that you tend to just play over in your mind, and it gets worse and worse as you get older, doesn't it? Like, you know, and it never actually really happened that bad. Or big deal, you were 14 at the time.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
And so that's why I wanted to talk about the Mandela Effect, because although the Mandela Effect isn't really what we're talking about, I think we're talking about false memories, and you just make things up, you know, you layer it.
You amplify it.
Yeah, you
don't
do.
You
Yeah.
amplify the bit that wasn't that bad has become that bad. You've amplified it, and you start to sweat inside. You start to think about it and think, God, I can't believe I did that. And it just makes you feel not very good, and it's just hard to, do you know what? Just let it go. Who cares?
Before we go on, apart from what you've just told me about MGM and criticising me about all the
Universal and all
Disneyland
that
and stuff,
yes, yeah.
is there anything between me and you that you can think of that you think, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that to her? Let's have a little game. You try and remember. No, come on.
Yeah.
You try and, it's good to have games when you're married. It keeps the
Yeah.
relationship fresh.
Right.
You try and play this little, get undressed,
Okay, I am.
put your pants on. Put your pants on for this one. No, try and remember something that's happened in our relationship, and I'll tell you if I remember it the way you remember it. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, because this really is putting you on the spot.
I think realistically, the only bit that comes to mind is when we were going to do our trip to Europe, and it was your 50th birthday, and I hadn't bought a car for the trip, but I'd seen one online that I liked, and I think it was when you said, oh, did you buy it? And I just thought, oh, well, I may as well now you've said it. And I think that I just then going buying it and trying to keep it a secret, that was probably just one of the hardest things. I think that it's...
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how I reacted.
But I know. But I suppose it was like when you eventually found out about it, I was always dreading when I was going to tell you that. I'd spent a bit of hard-earned money for this wonderful trip.
Well, here's a thing. Here's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Do you remember because you did. You went behind my back.
Yeah.
And you bought a car in England.
Yeah.
Spent our life savings and then tried to make me feel better by saying, oh, Liz, I bought it for your 50th.
Yeah.
When really all you'd done is indulged in a little bit of midlife crisis and bought yourself a little sports car.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Oh, this is really personal now. Do you remember the time I found out and how I found out?
I think your mum told you, didn't you?
No?
How did you find out?
Well, do you remember or not?
No, you see, this is the thing. I can't because I think I'd gone over my head so many times of how many times I'd told you, but I hadn't.
No, you hadn't.
There you go. So that's what I mean.
So in your mind, when did you tell me that you'd bought a Peugeot 205 Classic in England for 36,000 New Zealand dollars?
Yeah.
When did you tell me that news? And I'll tell you when it was.
And this
I
is the thing I can't remember because I'd made stories up in my mind. I'll just say I told you on your birthday type thing, like, are you don't you remember that sort of stuff? But it was just, that's and that's what I think I probably said. Oh yeah, I've already got it, but I hadn't bought it.
No, you never told me
and
like
that's
that.
what I mean. So that's.
Do you know how I found out?
Go on.
The postman, actually, the post lady.
Oh, that's why all the documents came through, didn't they?
Yeah.
Foolish idiots. Why did they send them? I told them to leave them in England.
Yeah. So we went to the door. There was a knock on the door. It was the post lady.
Yeah.
She opened the door and she said, "These documents have come for you." And I was stood there and I said, "Oh, what documents are those?" And I think she said, is it to do with a car or have you bought a car? Or it said on the envelope.
It was DVLA. So whatever it was, I think Linda, my sister, had sent it. And I said not to send it.
Yeah.
I said, keep it there till we come to
that's
England.
how I found
and that's
out.
how you found out, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, in your mind, you've told yourself that you told me on my birthday and you didn't. You never did.
No.
Isn't it weird how that
I know,
happens?
but that's what I mean. So I couldn't remember the actual time I told you. Or other than, you still feel bad about it now because I felt like I was lying. But I wasn't. I was just trying to keep it a secret. But then it was like, it became too much of a secret to tell you.
I know.
Because it was like, oh shit, there's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, it was quite rightly so as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I should have kept you feeling guilty about that for a long, long time. But no, that's how I found out was the post lady.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to the Nelson Mandela effect.
Is it just called the Nelson Mandela effect or just the Mandela?
Actually,
a bit like the butterfly effect type thing.
It's called the Mandela effect. And what this is, and excuse me because I'm just going to try and explain this really roughly. I've got no notes in front of me that say what it is, so I'm going to go off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's when a collective of people, is it called a collective of people? A group of people
Yes.
all believe the same thing, are told something, and they all start to believe it so much that everyone just believes that it's true.
Yeah, it's a bit like a folklore type thing, isn't it? Like, something's said.
I don't know if it's a folklore. No.
Yeah, but is that what they call it? I'm pretty sure it's like a folklore thing. It's a story that's been told. Whether it's true or not, you tend to believe it because you think it sounds right.
Yeah, a bit like if you said to me, no, Liz, you do. You remember on your birthday and I told you I've bought this Peugeot. Yeah, but I'd start to think, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you did. Yeah, maybe
no,
I
the
did.
only thing that you did say is that the one. And I just looked at it and went, well, yes, it's going to be to myself. Yes, it is.
Anyway, going back to the Mandela effect. The reason it's called the Mandela effect is because, and I believe this to be true as well, is because some journalist, apparently some political journalist ages ago, said that she remembers Nelson Mandela dying in his cell as a prisoner.
As a prisoner, yeah.
And that wasn't true. He didn't die in his cell as a prisoner.
No.
And yet I always thought he did. Did you?
No, I didn't know because I knew the story a little bit better. That's why.
So you against the whole world?
Yeah. See, I think it was Stephen Biko that actually died in prison. I think I'm pretty sure that was true. And then again, that might not be true because I haven't got my computer with me.
What's that banging?
It sounds like Sonny's banging the door because he's going out to his car.
Oh, okay. So anyway, that's the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
And out of that comes all these things. I mean, there's loads of them out there.
Yeah.
That you always believed to be true.
Yeah.
That actually aren't. And it's going to freak you out because you're going to be like, no, it is true. And I'm going to prove to you that it isn't.
Right.
So we're just going to sit back and I'm going to read out.
We've got a few questions of it or a few little
No, I'm going
things.
to read out 7 things and I'm going to ask you how you remembered them.
Right.
And that is the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right then. So number 1,
yes.
You know the film The Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
You know when Clarice first goes to meet Hannibal?
Yeah.
And she's walking down the cells, she's walking, he's right at the end of the cell, isn't it? Right at the end of the line
yeah, he's
in
on
the
the
prison.
end of the, yes.
And she walks down and she turns to face him. What is the famous line that everyone quotes Hannibal as saying? Do you know what it is?
No. I'm trying to think, racking my brain. I'm not very good with words like that.
Maybe I should have asked someone who watches telly a bit more than you.
Yeah, or Sonny would be very good at this.
Well, I haven't got Sonny, I've got you. Do you know what he said?
Good morning, Clarice. I don't know what he said.
You're a wise ass, aren't you?
Well, what did he say?
Good morning, Clarice.
Did he? He didn't, did he? He didn't, did he? Oh, gosh. Do you know what I was saying? It sounded right. What do people think he said?
Everyone thinks he says, "Hello, Clarice."
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he never said that.
Oh, see, I
He
was...
says, "Good morning,
I was just thinking he's a
Clarice."
gentleman, so... As in, you know, he's well
Do you know what,
mannered.
Brian? I think you've got a super brain.
I think it is.
I think the older you get,
Jarvis.
I know, the older you get, the flipping more intelligent you become.
See, that came out of the ether.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
I
See,
know.
there is the supercomputer, isn't it?
And yet you doubted yourself. You
Yes,
said, "Oh, I
did.
don't
I'm
know, I
not very
haven't
good.
seen it."
Do you know? I don't know why I even said that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Wow.
You are a superhuman being.
I am. I'm super bright.
Talking about superhuman beings, and I didn't know this and I'm not interested in this, but I know you will be because you are a superhuman being who watches this superhuman film.
Yes.
The film is called Star Wars,
Yes.
and you're a big Star Wars fan.
As in the original Star Wars, is it? Yeah.
Well, there's only one Star Wars,
All
right,
right,
isn't
okay.
there?
Yes,
Don't
there is,
try and build your brainy brain up.
Yes.
Right. You know that character, is he called C-3PO?
Yes.
Describe him to me. If someone said to you, what does he look like? Describe him.
C-3PO, he is the golden robot with the white eyes, and he looks like a cyborg because he's shaped like a man, C-3PO.
Right. Is he completely silver? Is he completely gold?
He's got a goldy sort of effect to him, yes.
Right. Any other colour?
No, his eyes are white, but he's got like a gold tinge to him.
Okay. And how many times have you watched Star Wars?
Probably lots,
About a million?
but probably about 100 times maybe.
C-3PO has got a silver leg.
A silver leg. One silver leg.
Yeah.
And all the others bits are gold.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't know that.
No, I know you didn't.
There you go.
Hooray! Actually, it's all down one side. His leg is silver. Yeah.
Right, okay.
And people say all these Star Wars,
Gold.
fans, they're just like, no. He's completely gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see him in the Walk in the Desert. I don't remember seeing a silver leg. Anyway.
Going back to another film,
Yep.
you know the film Casablanca?
Yes.
Okay. What's the famous line from Casablanca?
Again, I think it's something like, it's when, is it her name, Lauren Bacall? I think it is,
Yeah.
isn't it? She walks in, or he says something like all the gin joints in all the world.
No, this is the bit where the piano is playing.
Oh, play it, Sam, isn't it? Everyone says it's play it again, Sam. But
You think it
it's
is?
just play it.
Oh, God, get out. Go on, just get out. Send Sonny in. Send in an idiot. Oh, you annoy me, Brian, because you're one of those people that don't... Oh,
Yeah.
well, no. Normal people
I know.
believe it
Most
to be...
play it again, Sam.
Play it again,
Yeah,
Sam.
and that's exactly what I would have thought it was, but it's just...
Have you looked this up?
No, I haven't. Not recently, but I know, I just particularly remember that one from a long time ago.
Oh, do you now
Yeah, it's
particularly
something like,
remember it?
say it was in Trivial Pursuit or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Talking about Trivial Pursuit, let's stay on the game theme. It's not Trivial Pursuit, but it's the Monopoly game.
Yes.
Is the Monopoly man wearing a monocle or not? Do you know what a monocle is?
Yeah.
One of those eye things, like those.
Yeah.
Does he wear a monocle or does he not wear a monocle?
See, my memory says yes, he is wearing a monocle because it's the way he's looking sort of to one side a little bit, isn't it? But he probably isn't, is he?
No, not wearing a monocle.
No. Yeah.
No monocle in sight.
Not even,
No.
Not even a pair of glasses there popped
And yet,
in the side.
I'm getting a bit confused because I keep thinking of the Chicken Man.
Chicken
Kentucky Man.
Right, yeah, Colonel Sanders. Yeah.
Because they look a lot
Well,
alike.
it's that sort of sketchy draw thing, isn't it? Like, yeah.
But
yeah.
no monocle. And
Wow. Yeah.
And do you know what? You won't get this one because you're not on social media. Well, you are. You do use emojis. I couldn't believe it when they said this. I was convinced, and so was the rest of the world apart from you, that there was a robber emoji.
Oh,
so
like
he's
with
in
a swag bag.
Yeah, he's got a swag bag and
Yeah.
he's like hunched over. Never existed.
That's weird, isn't it? You
Yeah.
would think there'd be a robber emoji.
I've used it. I remember using it.
On what though?
Oh, when you'd say, keep your stuff, don't lose any of your stuff, don't lose it, or careful tonight, look out for robbers tonight. I don't know when you'd use it, but
Yeah, you imagine it, don't you? You can see him
I
there
can
with
see
the eyes and the band across his face,
and
the
he's looking over his
stripes,
shoulder, and he's got a bag.
swag bag,
Yeah.
dressed in dark clothes.
Never
Yeah.
existed.
Wow.
Never existed. So I thought that was brilliant. I've saved the last two, the best two, until the end.
Yeah.
Don't you disappoint me, and I mean it. Even if you know the answer, pretend you don't.
All right, okay.
Well, actually don't, because that'll make it for being
No, I
boring.
know.
But just
Yeah.
try not to be a cocky ass
Smart
with this
ass.
one. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So, you know the band that sings, "Welcome to the Hotel California"?
Yeah.
What are they called?
The Eagles.
Nope.
Is it just Eagles?
Eagles.
It's just Eagles, isn't it? Yeah. It's not like the Beatles. It's
No.
Eagles.
It's just Eagles.
Yeah. Eagles' greatest hits.
Yeah.
Not the Eagles' greatest hits.
Well, I was thinking, no, I'm sorry, that's just wrong. That's not right. So what I did was I Googled all their art cover, for their CDs. And it is Eagles. But on one of them, it says the greatest hits of the Eagles.
Of the Eagles.
But that's the only cover that it mentions the. And when I looked it up, I was like, no, it's right. We are called Eagles.
Yeah.
Just like they are called.
Well, it's like the police are the police. But yeah, it's not.
They're not called the AC/DC.
No.
Or Meatloaf, not called the Meatloaf.
No.
Same. They're not called the Eagles. They're called Eagles.
Status quo, not the status quo. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? When you hear an animal, you would think it's the Eagles, like, Yeah.
So that's
That's a common one again, isn't it? Yeah,
very.
because again, I would say the Eagles because you see it in your head, don't you? You see the Eagles.
I know, and you can see the big fancy T and the H, when they write it, and it's like weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now this is the weirdest one. This is the last one, and this is the one I just couldn't believe. So the song by Queen, "We Are the Champions."
Yep.
The last line goes, "No time for losers." Right? So finish the line. How does that end? What's the end of that song? Go from "No time for losers."
No time for losers, because we are the champions of the world.
Never said of the world.
He just says the champions at the end, does he? Yeah.
Freddie never sang of the world
Yeah.
at the end of it. I'm sure he did, Brian. I'm sure he did. I can see him I can see him right there singing it. Doesn't he?
Yeah, I know.
And everyone's like this in the audience with their scarves like this going
But he
to
must
the
say
side.
champions of the world somewhere on the song. But he doesn't say it at the end, is
It's
what you're
not
saying.
at the end.
Oh,
it
right.
ends, "No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions." That's it. That's a rubbish ending, isn't
It's a
it?
shit engine, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we should remake the ending.
I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this one.
It's
I'm
weird, isn't it?
sure
'Cause
he
you
sang
instantly
"We Are
wanna
the
see it.
Champions of the World." But they're
I
saying
think,
no,
but,
it's just
do you know-
the crowd did. And they've adopted it and they reckon.
It might be because that they would sing that, wouldn't they? Or is it just before is there an instrumental break where he says the world
Don't know.
of the world?
It's on the internet. It's
Wow.
true. Do you want some
Yeah.
more tea?
Yes, please.
Yeah. How does it feel, Bri? How does it feel to be you?
It just feels amazing at times, even if I'm not quite here. It feels good.
I know. And if this is you, not quite here, imagine what it'd be like if you were like full on.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
And I hated school.
I know, and yet you've turned into quite a brainy young man, haven't you?
A very brainy person. Yeah, I can talk down the microphone like anything.
So yeah, that's that. That's the Mandela Effect.
I like it because there's so many things that you say to someone, oh, this, that, and that. Oh, no, it's not like that. Then you go, yes, it is.
But
And
it
it's
goes
like-
back to that thing again of what we were talking about on the beach earlier, about how, when you say things like we were just saying about how you convince yourself that you've been a certain way.
I know.
You worry about it all day, or you say goodbye to someone and then you drive away and you think, oh, bloody hell, why was I like that with them? They're going to think really badly of me now, or I don't know. And then they're like, no.
I know, because most people, when someone's having a tough time or whatever it is, or they're not the normal selves, you just think, oh, he's having a bad day, and then you carry on, don't you? You don't sit there and think, what was wrong with him? Why was he having a go at me?
Yeah.
I mean, some people do, but the majority of people just get on with their own.
Yeah.
Everyone's too busy with themselves.
How many times, Bri, I mean, you know this, how many times have we made a podcast and I've turned around and said to you, oh, that was just awful.
I know, I shouldn't have said that.
Let's not release it. It's just, it was boring. It was not, you shouldn't have said that. And they're going to have a go at me for, and then you watch it back again, same thing. And you're like, what was I worried about? It was really good.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what it's like in life.
Yeah. But sometimes when you think you've done a brilliant podcast, and it's not as good as what you thought it was, and then the one, I don't know, sometimes it's just the way you do something and you don't really, you're just doing it because you need to get the content out in time or whatever it is. It ends up being one of the best ones, doesn't it?
I know. I think the moral of the story here, the lesson of this podcast is just don't overthink things.
No.
Just don't listen to yourself when you're going, oh, I'm really bad, or I haven't said that right, or I shouldn't have said that. It's like people are just moving on, and They're not sitting there worrying and thinking, oh, he was really funny with me then, and he shouldn't have said it like that. Exactly like the Sunny story with the Disneyland thing or the Disney World thing. It was just, no, that wasn't how it was at all.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
That's
no, it's not worth it, is it, Bri?
Yeah. The memory's good, but no one's memory is that good.
Right. And so while we were talking about conversations, we'd just been down the beach for a walk and we're like, oh, let's just do a podcast about the Mandela Effect and let's talk about... So I came home because here's the thing, Bri. You know, me and you don't go out much.
We never do. We went out last night, though, we?
Well, we went to the theatre, but we didn't talk to anyone.
No.
I'm beginning to worry, and I'll tell you the truth. I'm honest. This is the honest to God truth now. I'm not just saying this for Mandela effects. This is the truth.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to worry that we're losing the art of conversation with other people because we spend so much time doing this.
Yeah.
We think we're brilliant conversationalists. We just think we're so good. But then when it comes to talk to real people, we don't know what to say.
I know. Because the thing is, we don't listen to the news, and the majority of people listen to the news and they go, well, what do you think about that going on? And you go, don't know, what?
No, it's not. I don't think it's anything to do with the news. I think it's the art of conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's being able to walk up to someone. Like when we're down the cafe, we just sit there the whole time like this. Please don't come over. Please don't come over. Don't come over and talk to us. Please don't come over and talk to us.
I know. Yeah. But the biggest thing,
Do you think that's normal? I don't.
I don't think it's so much
bloody rude.
No, yeah, but I agree with the art of conversation, because the more you talk to people, the more easier it becomes, because then you've got more to talk about. I always remember listening to a great podcast, The Art of Conversation, and she was an interrogator, and she was saying, always remember Ted. And if you're ever stuck for talking about something, you're interested in what, someone, you want to talk to them, it's just like, so Ted is, tell me about this or what happened, then, and then explain to me how that felt, which is the E, and then describe to me this.
See, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but that's a way to get people
weird.
to talk, because you're actually talking about them and letting them talk. So that starts a conversation. So if you can always remember Ted.
Tell me how you feel about this podcast.
Well, I like this podcast, Liz, but explain to me how you feel
I'm
when you're
talking
doing
to
the
you.
podcast.
Explain to me how it feels to just be so brainy like you are and never have to worry about making a mistake.
I know. Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, it's just great being Ted.
You're a bit stuck, aren't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I came home because I am a bit worried, because I think, well, you see these people and they're just like this, they can hit it off. And the other thing, I think people assume, because we like talking on the podcast to each other.
Yeah.
And I love interviewing people because they get to talk and I get to listen. I think people think that you would be like that normally in real life. Yet when we come to meet, well, certainly you're a lot better than this than I am.
Why?
But you just are. You're very outgoing. Conversation with people.
No, not
I
at all.
think you are.
No, you're 10 times better than me at conversation.
No, you're better than me.
Yeah, but it depends what the conversation's about. If it's something that sparks me, then I'll talk. But the majority of the time, it'll be one or two answers, like,
Is that right? Is that how you think about yourself, really?
Yeah.
See, that goes back to that thing again, doesn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Because if someone asked me to describe you, I'd be like, oh, yeah. It's great when Brian's at a party because he'll chat to everyone.
You'll always find me in the kitchen at parties, and that's it.
That's a bit worrying. How long have we been married? And I don't know that.
Yeah.
Should we go on Mr. and Mrs.?
I know. We should do Mr. and Mrs., shouldn't we? When do we do that on the next podcast, Mr. and Mrs.? And we'll ask questions about each other, and we'll write the answers down to what we think they, then you'll ask them, and then I'll say, what
be interesting to see, wouldn't it?
You can play it with yourself, can't you?
You can play with yourself?
Yeah, I always play with myself, especially when we're doing the podcast.
It keeps you focused.
It does.
It makes you brainy.
Not with hand in pocket.
Anyway, so going back to what I was saying, because I'm worried about this, because I'm thinking, look, you need to sharpen up. Because quite honestly, I'll tell you the truth. Quite honestly, I would be quite happy if I never had to speak to people, like when I was out in a social situation.
Yeah.
I like just being left alone. But that's not good for the human race.
It's not really, no.
It's not. And it's not very friendly. So I came home and I Googled how to make conversation with people, right?
Right.
And I came across this website and it just said, 57 killer conversation starters. So you can start a conversation with anyone at any time.
Or how to kill a conversation
No,
or kill a conversation?
they're just using that because
silly,
no, it's clickbait, isn't it?
Oh, right, okay.
Because you're like killer. You see the word killer and you're like, oh yeah, it must be really
Killer
good. And it says, do you struggle with small talk? Do you often run out of things to say or feel awkward and self-conscious?
Yeah, off to the kitchen I go.
Learn how to speak. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Learn how to speak so people listen.
Okay.
No more awkward silences.
Ooh.
And no more small talk, right? And this is what you have to do. So the next time we're down at the cafe and someone comes up and says, hi, this is what we have to say, right? Or certainly this is what...
Piss off.
This is what you have to say. I'm going to do it in an American accent.
Okay.
Because
It's an
obviously...
American website, .com.
Well, it is a .com website. But the thing I love about Americans, and I've got to say this, and I've always said it, I wish I was American when it came to conversations, because I tell you what, there's no one like Americans who can, they know how to start a conversation. They know how to keep it flowing. They're just flipping, they're right up there when it comes to conversations, the Americans.
Right.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, some people, some Americans are.
Well, I think all Americans.
Yeah, they tend not to go
So if you're
and that's
American,
much.
like
Yes.
let's just pretend now we're American. We're down the cafe. Someone comes up. This is the first thing you should say. Tell me about you.
See, there you go. Ted, first one came out. Ted is there. Tell me about.
Tell me about you. So tell me about you.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Just spat into the microphone then. So tell me
Tell me
about
about
you.
you. It's in English, just that's how we would say it,
Oh,
wouldn't
Brian, who says that?
I? Tell me about you.
Who says that?
I know, because that's not
Tell
the English
me
way.
about you?
How rude are you? Asking, who do you think you are? Because I'm English, that you want to know about me. I need to know
Mind
you
your own
first.
bloody business.
God's sake. Who do you think you are?
I'm sorry, but no, I won't be saying that.
Yeah.
The second one, hang on, where was it? Where did it say? The second one was having fun.
I am with me hand in my pocket.
Hello, Brian. Having fun.
Just happy
That's
to see you.
insulting, isn't it, Brian? That's insulting,
It
isn't it?
is, isn't it?
Having
Yeah.
fun.
What are you trying to say? I'm here in the kitchen, in the party, in the kitchen, and not having any fun, eh?
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
exactly how I would say. I'd say you sarky swine.
Yeah, who do you
Never
think you are?
Yeah,
Yeah, look at you. I've seen your face lately.
but the thing is, Americans don't mean it like this.
I know, but this is the
They
thing,
mean it
isn't
like having. So they wouldn't say it like that. They wouldn't say having fun. They wouldn't say it like that. But
having fun. That's what the guy said.
They wouldn't say it like, they wouldn't say it like that, Brian. They say it like this. Hi, Brian. Having fun?
Yeah.
But even that's a bit weird, isn't
I know.
it?
Yeah, what am I supposed to be happy now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird, isn't it? But it's different cultures. Yeah.
Well, no, because
But it is.
we want to be like them.
Cheer up then. You
Yeah.
may as well have just said that to me. Cheer up, you miserable sod.
And then the third one, I mean, there's 57 of these buggers, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to read all of them. But the third one is, hi, Brian. So what's your story?
Once upon a time.
Well, I put me hand down my
Yeah.
pants.
And guess what? We're happy, having fun.
Oh, so yeah. So what's your story? See, that to me would ring alarm bells like therapist.
I know. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but it is, isn't it?
Isn't
Yeah.
it?
But maybe that's what all Americans do, is go to therapy.
Well, obviously
and
they
then
do.
that's where they learn this art of conversation with the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these things, look, 57 of them, but they're the ones that stuck out to me. It's just like, I don't know, they're cringy.
What's a random one? Just one random one, a killer one.
A killer one. What's it? So what's your biggest regret?
Ooh, coming to this bloody party.
Meeting you.
Off to the toilet. Fed up of being in the kitchen.
See, it's never going to work, is it?
No, because
It's never going to work for us.
what was that one again? What was it? You
What's
said?
your biggest regret?
It'd be like, I don't know, love. I don't really know.
I know.
Yeah, I haven't got one.
Now, if someone
Yeah.
said that to me, I'd be out that door, I'd be down that road like a flipping shot. I'd be
know.
like, you're a weirdo.
Yeah. Why do you want to know what
Yes.
my regret is?
I know.
Je regrette not
You know why, don't you?
What?
Well, because they love it, don't they, the Americans? They love you to get in deep.
I know.
Start going on about your childhood.
I know.
You know, trauma.
Spill the beans. What were
Yeah.
your mum and dad like? They
I
were
know.
nice. Yeah.
I know. But then saying that,
Yeah.
when you do that, It's a really good conversation, isn't it?
I know.
You know?
Especially if you get on something.
I could have told him about Sunny and how he thought I was
You'll
horrible.
never guess what when we were in Disney World's Universal MGMs.
Yeah. Let me pick one more. Hang on.
Okay.
Conversation starters. Yeah. Oh, well, it starts going on about asking about charities, but you don't want to say what charities you saw. Yeah. It says, when you were a kid, what did you think your life would look like now?
How are you ever supposed to know that?
I know.
When you were a kid, I just wanted to be a binman. That was all I wanted to be.
Did you?
Yeah. When the binman came, well, I lived in a village, so the only people you saw was the milkman and the binman. And it was just like, oh, that looks good fun. Bunch of guys having a good laugh, hanging off the back of a bin wagon, throwing bins in.
Yeah.
And driving off down the road dangerously.
Well, maybe you should say that because that would be a good conversation starter.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So after reading that, it hasn't inspired me. It scared the living Jesus out of me, to be honest. It's like, if I went to a party or down the cafe and someone came up to me and started saying all those things, I would be, like I say, the alarm bells would be ringing for me.
I know. Well, I'd be at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think we should just stick with what we're doing then? Just our small talk of like, well, do you know what someone said to us the other day? I thought, God, they must be desperate. Is that your first or second coffee?
Oh, I thought we were going to say, was that your first or second baby?
No, is that your first or second coffee, he said.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, is that all we can talk about?
I know. How many having today?
I know.
Yeah. And the weather?
Well, the weather, yeah.
Yeah. It's nice at the moment, Taylor's.
Yeah.
It's blue out there.
Yeah. So that was that then. That's the art of conversation.
I think everyone should just start their own podcast.
So do I.
Either with themselves or with someone else, like their partner or something, and just talk. Yeah. And see where it takes you. Because you say more things on the microphone than what you do just regularly, because you're always thinking about something else or doing something. But when you're on this, you have to be a little bit more focused, I suppose, don't you? Because, you've got to listen to what you're saying. Because if I don't listen to what you're saying, it just goes completely quiet. Maybe we just do an unfocused podcast where you'll say something and just leave it as a big blank. What were you saying?
What's the most awkward thing anyone's ever said to you at a party?
Do you know what? I would never remember. I know one of the most awkward dinner parties I've ever been to.
Go on.
It was when we'd booked, there's a little French cafe called Petit Paris in town. And they were doing, I don't think it was Bastille night, but it was a French night. And we just thought it's going to be nice because they've got like just little 2 tables and 4 tables, and we just thought, we put candles out and stuff like that, and it'll be like coming to a French bistro and having some nice French food. We didn't know that it was going to be 10 people sitting around the same frigging table. And that was the most freakiest night I think I've ever had, because there wasn't one person at the table that we hit it off with, because I think they all had the same idea. They were coming to just come and sit with their partner. And that was the hardest 2 hours I've ever really spent, I think, and paid for it.
Do you know what my worst... Yeah, I do remember that night. Yeah, I do remember that.
But
it was Bastille Day.
It was just, you felt rude talking to each other, but the way, I think the way they'd sat us, that we were a bit apart from each other, and it was like we'd gone for a night,
they should have
a
told us,
romantic
shouldn't they?
night out.
I know,
I
they
thought
should
it
have
was going to
told
be.
us.
I thought it'd be like a bit of French music, dark.
Do you remember that night?
Do you
remember that night we went to that party, and that woman? I'm not going to say names because these people still live in the village, so I don't want them to hear this.
Right. Yes.
But do you remember that vegetarian was there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember? Yeah, you want to look embarrassed. And we went, and what was this, about 10 years ago, wasn't it? We turned up.
I would say it was probably 14 years ago.
And they were there, and she's vegetarian, and let's just say she likes to have her opinion heard. There was about 12 people around that table that night.
Yeah, it was.
I'll never forget. And we were sitting there, and we were all eating, and it was bring a plate, wasn't it? Because in New Zealand, you bring a plate and you bring your own food, to share. And I don't know, she'd brought some vegetarian dish, and she was going on about how wonderful vegetarianism is.
It wasn't so much, she was an eco-warrior as well.
Yeah,
that's
you
more
turned
what it
round and said, oh, isn't that a Peugeot diesel sitting in the driveway that you've driven here to?
No, I said, because she lived up the hill a wee bit, and I said, how can you say all this stuff about the planet when you're driving a 2.5 turbo Subaru Impreza or whatever
Brian.
it was.
Oh, I hope she doesn't drive that because now she's going to know.
Well,
who she
no,
is.
I'm just saying, whatever it was, like
Make another
it was
car
it was a Subaru turbocharged, and I just said, how on earth can you say that when you're driving that?
Oh, see, that's why I didn't want to go to any more parties with you after that,
I know.
Brian. Because I'll tell you what, the whole table just fell silent. It was horrible.
I know, but it just got right at my nose because she was spouting off about all this stuff, and I'm like, is your exhaust pipe okay then?
But we never got invited back after that, Brian.
No, I know. I didn't mean it in a horrible
And
way.
they could have been off. Well, obviously you did mean it in a horrible way.
But her husband came up to me and said, "That's the first time I've heard someone ever have a good go at her." And he patted me on the back and said, "Well done."
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a bit bossy, isn't
So
she?
you gave her as good as she gave you, and I went, "Oh, well, that's all right," because I thought I'd gone over the top a little bit. But you were just cringing.
Oh, I hated it. I just wanted the world. I just wanted that party to just be over and just swallow us up because we'd only been in New Zealand about 4 years.
The whole table went quiet, didn't it?
It did, and we were just starting to make friends. And obviously, this woman is a well-known, figure in the village and all the rest of it. And people look up to her, and what she says goes. And then it was like you said that to her, and it's just like, well, there crashes down all our chances of ever making any friends.
I know.
Do you regret that, Brian?
Yeah, she didn't go out and buy a little 1,000cc car after that. She stayed with that 2.5.
Mind you,
for 10
what you
years.
said was right. What you said was right.
But it was right.
But do you regret saying it? Do you
No,
look
I
back at
don't.
those times and think, oh, that was awkward?
I know, but it was just when, I don't know, it's when people spout off stuff and it's like you're not even living that life, because you're doing something completely different.
A bit like us on the podcast, isn't it? Coming over as being all like, yeah, we're really chatty, we're really conversation, we're really outgoing.
Meet us in real life.
You meet us in real life. It's like, bloody hell,
You're
miserable.
not funny.
No, I know, exactly.
But that's the hardest part, is living up to someone's expectations, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a lot of people listen to podcasts and stuff, and yes, you probably do know more about me than I know about myself, because when you do a podcast, you don't really remember it. You remember bits of it until you actually watch it again. And that's the thing, isn't it? That goes back to what we started with.
Yeah.
And people will say, oh, when you went to there, and I'm like, did I? And it's just like, oh, well, I've told you I obviously did. And I would have gone there, but I can't remember saying, and I don't know what I did.
There's a famous saying, I can't remember if it's Mark Twain or someone, is a famous saying that just says, you don't need a good memory if you always tell the truth.
Yeah,
and
but that's the thing, isn't it? But we all elaborate on stuff, don't we? I know, but
it's a good thing to remember, isn't it? It's just like, if you just tell the truth, then you haven't ever got to think, damn, shit, what did I say?
What was it again? Yeah, these tangled webs we weave.
And that goes back to what I was saying on the beach earlier about this podcast that I made that I was worried about.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes when you're not focused and you've got a lot of things going on in your head and you're under stress, and you go onto autopilot, and then afterwards you think, it's like driving into town, and then you suddenly think, how did I get here? I can't remember making this journey. You've just got to trust that you're a good driver and you're going to get there.
I know.
Just like you've just got to trust. Sometimes if you're having a conversation or with someone and you're not all there and you're a little bit stressed and your mind is on other things, that you're just, you're a good person. You're a nice person. It's just like you're not going to do these horrible things that your mind is telling you, oh, you shouldn't have said that or you shouldn't have done that. I hope that makes sense. But it's
true.
It's just that thing, isn't it, of just trusting that you came over the best person you could be.
Yes, yes.
You did your best.
It's true, because you always want to, but there's times when you can't, and and that's why you should never give someone a hard time, because you just don't know what day they're having, and that's the big thing, isn't it? And it's just ease off and just think, I'm having a good day, but they might be having a shit day.
Yeah.
Or I'm having a shit day, I'm going to make them have a shit day as well. And it's not the way to live.
No. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed that conversation,
Yes.
that podcast about conversation. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it's great.
just thinking about all the different ways that conversation comes into your life. Again, always want to say this at the end of a podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. There's many podcasts out there. Do you know, Brad, there's millions of podcasts out there.
Yeah.
And we are in the top 2%. Can you believe that?
Of the world.
Yeah. Of the world.
Not quite the champions yet, but the top 2%.
Ah, the It's a Drama.
Our
of the
peak
world.
position in the USA was number 1 once.
Yeah, once. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know whether that's more than once.
And the reason that we are able to say that we are the top 2% in the top 2% of the podcast is because people have rated us and left us reviews.
Yep.
The more reviews you have, the more the algorithm shows your podcast to other people. So if you are listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube, first of all, I just want to say a huge, huge thank you to you. I think you are absolutely wonderful. I love you so much for showing up and just tuning in and joining us on this conversation. Still blows me away every single time. And I'm just so very, very, very grateful to you for it.
Yeah.
And if you can, leave a review on the podcast app that you're listening to, or even if you want to go to the show notes of this and leave us a comment and just say hi, you can do that. You can leave a review on your app by going to the show. You just go to the show, It's a Drama, and then you scroll down and it's got like 5 little stars and you leave a review. Or you can just email us at liz@itsadrama or brian@itsadrama and just say hello.
You can go to itsadrama.com/podcast and you'll see the latest podcast. And that's the one that Liz is saying. You can go into the actual post of the show and you can leave a comment at the bottom of there as well.
But like I say,
ideally, and just in Apple or Spotify, just leave us a review. That would be great.
But like I say, thank you so much. You are what makes this conversation the best. You are what make us sit here and have these conversations.
Get the gear out in the bedroom and get the microphone
Nothing else
out.
goes on in this bedroom, I can tell you. It's only ever this.
There's a wall here. You don't want to know what's behind the wall.
So until next time, I will speak to you soon. Stay safe, stay happy, and keep being you.
Yeah, so kia kaha, stay strong, kia u, stay true, and just don't forget to breathe. Eh? If you breathe, everything's easier.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Then. Right.
Yeah.
Let it out now, Brian.
There we go.
Bye.
Tell me, explain to me, describe to me. See you now. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
No, let's talk intimately about some part of your body, and let's talk intimately about sex or something like that.
Yeah.
Something really personal.
Yeah.
God, I'm so prude. Honestly, I'm so prudish. I'm listening to my own voice, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? Why are you so prudish? Anyway, going back to you, 100. In fact, I'm going to up it. I'm going to say 250. In fact, I'm going to up it. I'm going to say
50 quid.
We'll pay your mortgage off, right?
Yeah.
We'll pay your mortgage off. All you have to do is go on YouTube live, naked, and talk about.
Can we do anything with this?
Talk.